Hey guys, in today's Conundrum we will cover the case of Thierry Paulin, born November 28, 1963, and died at April 16, 1989 at only 25 years of age. Famously referred to as the Montmartre menace, in French. La menace de Montmartre gained notoriety as a French serial killer during the 1980s, responsible for the brutal murders of 21 elderly women. His trial was never held as he succumbed to complications arising from AIDS before facing justice. If you like this type of content, consider liking and subscribing. Takes a second and means a lot to me. You can always change it later. Thank you all for support so far, and comment down below on what type of content you would like to see in the future from our channel. Now let's continue with our video. Thierry Paulin's journey began in Fort-de-France, Martinique, where he first saw the light of day. However, his father's departure for mainland France shortly after his birth left his teenage mother to navigate the challenges of raising a baby alone. Raised by his paternal grandmother, who owned a local restaurant, Paulin's upbringing was marked by a notable lack of attention from his grandmother. His surroundings failed to provide the nurturing he needed. At the age of 10, a shift occurred as he transitioned to living with his now married mother and attempted to integrate into the lives of his stepbrothers and stepsisters. Paulin's behavior took a troubling turn during this period. Growing increasingly unpredictable and aggressive towards his newfound siblings, his actions raised concerns. Eventually, his mother felt compelled to enlist the aid of his father, urging him to take their son to mainland France as a means to sidestep alimony responsibilities. Facing life as a mixed-race individual within a community of predominantly white peers, Paulin encountered isolation and difficulty in forging friendships. His academic performance mirrored his emotional struggles, with a string of failed exams resulting in subpar performance at school. At a pivotal juncture, aged merely 17, he embarked on an early entry into military service, enlisting in the ranks of the parachutists division. Unfortunately, his time as a soldier was marked by disdain from his fellow servicemen due to both his racial background and his homosexuality, leading to further feelings of exclusion. A critical turning point occurred on November 14, 1982, when Paulin committed a robbery targeting an elderly woman at her local grocery store. Armed with a knife, he threatened the woman and seized her belongings. Ironically, the victim recognized him as a former customer, swiftly leading to his arrest. In June 1983, he faced the consequences of his actions, receiving a 2-year prison sentence. However, the sentence was suspended, avec sursis, allowing Paulin to evade immediate incarceration and remain at liberty. The year 1984 marked a significant phase in Paulin's life as he exited military service and embarked on a journey from Toulouse to the bustling city of Paris. His mother and her family had relocated to Nanterre, a western suburb of the French capital. Seeking a place within this new environment, Paulin opted to live with them, but the atmosphere was far from harmonious, characterized by tension and hostility. Soon after his arrival in Paris, Paulin found employment as a waiter at the Paradis Latin, a renowned nightclub renowned for its captivating drag performances. It was within these flamboyant surroundings that Paulin began an unexpected career trajectory. Stepping onto the stage in drag, he embraced the persona of an artist, serenading the audience with tunes by his beloved singer, Eartha Kitt. An intriguing chapter unfolded when Paulin's mother was invited to witness her son's transformation on stage. However, her presence was short-lived, as she departed mere moments into the performance, seemingly unable to reconcile with the person her son had become. Within the vibrant milieu of the Paradis Latin, Paulin's life intertwined with that of Jean-Thierry Mathurin. Hailing from French Guiana, the 19-year-old Mathurin had succumbed to a life of drug addiction. A profound connection blossomed between the two, fueled by shared experiences. Paulin, while also grappling with addiction, engaged in drug peddling to sustain their lifestyle. Tragically, October 5, 1984, marked a pivotal turning point with the brutal assault of 2 elderly women in Paris. Germaine Petitot, aged 91, managed to survive the attack, but was left traumatized and unable to provide a detailed description of the assailants. Anna Barbier-Ponthus, aged 83, was less fortunate, meeting her demise after enduring a savage beating and suffocation beneath a pillow. The assailant made away with a mere 300 francs, approximately $50. Over the course of October and November 1984, a chilling pattern emerged as 8 more elderly women met their grim fate, primarily within Paris's 18th arrondissement, but extending into adjacent areas. The brutality of these crimes was stark. Victims suffered a range of horrors, from having their heads encased in plastic bags to suffering fatal beatings. One tragic victim was even forced to ingest drain cleaner. The common thread linking these crimes was apparent: robbery. Some sources suggested that Paulin specifically targeted women who came across as unkind or unfriendly during their interactions, while Paulin himself confessed to the police that he singled out the most vulnerable among them. Concurrently, Paulin and Mathurin reveled in an extravagant existence, their nights a symphony of dancing, champagne, and cocaine. As November drew to a close, they ventured to Toulouse, seeking refuge in the home of Paulin's father for a brief respite. However, the father's inability to embrace his son's partner resulted in volatile clashes, culminating in the dissolution of Paulin and Mathurin's relationship. Mathurin returned to Paris, while Paulin pursued an ambitious endeavor, an enterprise of transvestite artists, which sadly floundered in the autumn of 1985. Between December 20th, 1985, and June 14th, 1986, an ominous wave engulfed the city, leading to the tragic demise of 8 more elderly women. Despite the concerted efforts of the police, the enigmatic assailant's identity remained an elusive puzzle. While a few tantalizing clues graced the investigators' path, the elusive nature of the perpetrator persisted. Piecemeal evidence, gleaned through meticulous fingerprint analysis, unveiled a critical revelation. The hand behind the 1984 murders and the current wave was one and the same. Yet a discernible shift in the killer's modus operandi became unmistakable. Unlike the prior blood-soaked tableau, this newer series exhibited a preference for swifter, less torturous methods of ending lives. The onset of autumn in 1986 bore witness to an alarming event: Paulin's violent confrontation with one of his cocaine suppliers, marked by the wielding of a baseball bat as his weapon of choice. The aftermath of this altercation witnessed the dealer seeking refuge within the precincts of the law, prompting Paulin's arrest. Subsequently, a sentence of 16 months behind bars was pronounced in light of the assault. Thus, Paulin's sojourn in Fresnes prison began, with an entire year spent within its confining walls. Upon his eventual release, Paulin's world was further marred by the stark revelation of his HIV-positive status. This revelation, far from instilling caution or remorse, seemingly served to escalate the nefarious activities. A sense of urgency enveloped his actions, propelling him into a chilling race against the inexorable passage of time. Driven by the awareness of his impending mortality, his deeds took on an even more sinister hue. As the hands of the clock relentlessly ticked away, Paulin embarked on a spree of killings, each life snuffed out becoming a grim testament to his macabre resolve. With the specter of AIDS casting a shadow over his life, Paulin orchestrated extravagant soirees, sparing no expense in a flurry of opulence. These lavish celebrations were bankrolled through a complex web of stolen credit cards, forged checks, and the ill-gotten gains from his murderous exploits. On the fateful day of November 25, 1987, Paulin's hands claimed another life, that of Rachel Cohen, aged 79. Concurrently, he launched an attack on an 87-year-old woman named Berta Finalteri, suffocating her and leaving her for dead. Just 2 days later, he sealed the fate of Geneviève Germont, destined to be his final victim. As Paulin marked his 24th birthday, a twist of fate unfolded. Finalteri, defying the odds, emerged from the brink of death and courageously offered a detailed description of her assailant. She recounted encountering un métis d'une vingtaine d'années coiffé à la Carl Lewis, avec une boucle d'oreille à l'oreille gauche, a mixed-race man in his 20s, hair styled like Carl Lewis, with an earring in his left ear. The wheels of justice turned swiftly. On December 1st, recognition led to arrest, as Paulin was apprehended while strolling down the street by local police inspector Francis Jacob, acting upon Terry's account. The ensuing days of custody bore witness to a confession that laid bare the extent of his deeds, a chilling narrative that included his partnership with Mathurin. Accused of 18 murders, though he claimed responsibility for 21, Paulin was incarcerated, awaiting the impending trial. The year 1988 brought a somber descent into illness for Paulin, as the ravages of AIDS began to exact their toll on his body. Within the span of a year, his condition deteriorated, culminating in hospitalization marred by the twin specters of tuberculosis and meningitis. The night of April 16, 1989, would be his last, as he breathed his final breath in the hospital ward of Fresnes Prison, a poignant conclusion to a life shrouded in malevolence. Ironically, only Mathurin stood trial for the initial 9 assaults and murders, facing a life sentence followed by 18 years devoid of parole. Mirroring the complexity of the case, Mathurin was eventually released in 2012. Meanwhile, the specter of conviction eluded Paulin, his name forever intertwined with unspeakable crimes never brought to judgment. Thank you all who stick until the end of the video. Let me know what case you would like for me to cover in next videos. If you have any ideas what would be a great gift for 500 subs giveaway, also let me know in the comments down below. I am Alex, and this is Conundrum. Stay curious and stay safe.